Imagine you're sitting in your fourth period biology class right now.
Or maybe you're just, hanging out with your friends at the skate park on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. And you left your dog safely at home. I mean,
Yeah.
you gave him a pat on the head, you filled up their water bowl, locked the front door.
And you figured they were just going to, sleep on the rug until you got back.
Right, because that's the deal, right? That's the social contract we have with our pets.
Definitely. You provide the food, and they provide the companionship, and, well, crucially, the compliance while you're away.
But see, while you're gone, this specific dog doesn't just sleep. It wakes up, stretches, and decides it wants a midday snack.
Naturally.
But the snacks are locked inside the refrigerator, so your dog walks over to the fridge, literally studies the physics of the vacuum seal on the door.
Which is wild.
It really is. It logically dismantles the child safety lock you installed on Tuesday, uses its body weight and claws to break the magnetic seal, and just helps itself to a block of cheddar cheese.
Which, I should point out, requires an understanding of leverage that most human toddlers do not possess.
Right, and then it gets even wilder. After eating, the dog decides it wants some fresh air.
Oh, the doors.
Yeah, walks over to the front door, stands up on its hind legs, and recalls exactly how it watched your human hand grip and press down on the handle yesterday.
It literally mimics that downward motion with its paws.
Opens the door and just casually lets itself out into the yard.
It's terrifying and brilliant all at once.
It really is. Welcome to today's deep dive. We're talking directly to you today. The students, the young, curious minds out there who really want to look under the hood of animal intelligence.
Because we really want to understand how a non-human brain actually solves problems.
Exactly. So today we have this massive stack of sources. We're talking cognitive pathology studies, behavioral plasticity analyses.
Veterinary guides,
Yeah.
and some incredibly detailed breeder journals, too.
Yeah. And our mission. We're going to map the incredibly unique and honestly sometimes terrifying mind of the Czechoslovakian Wolfdog.
But before we jump in, we should establish the boundaries of this conversation immediately,
Oh, right. Good point.
because we are completely skipping the history books today.
Yep, throwing them out.
We are not going to talk about the 1950s Border Patrol breeding programs or, the specific lineages that created this animal. We're bypassing the origin story entirely.
Because we want to focus strictly on the psychology.
Exactly. We want to understand the mechanics of a mind that operates wildly differently from, say, the golden retriever or the poodle you might have grown up with.
Right, because to understand why the Czechoslovakian Wolfdog acts like a furry lockpicker,
A great way to put it.
we really have to look at what normally makes a dog. Well, a dog. Like, when I think of a standard pet, I think of an animal that has been engineered to want my approval.
And engineered is absolutely the correct term there.
Yeah.
I mean, over roughly 14,000 years of domestication, humans systematically altered the neurology of wild canines.
We totally changed their brains.
We did. We selectively bred wolves into dogs to make them more compliant, less fearful, and, quite frankly, significantly less reactive to their environment.
We basically wanted to dull their senses down a bit, right?
Yes, we fundamentally altered their sensory processing. We wanted animals that were eager to please and reliant on us for direction.
We wanted the dog that just looks up at us with big eyes, waiting for the teacher to give it the assignment.
Precisely. But the Czechoslovakian Wolfdog has a genetic profile that essentially overrides parts of that domestication process.
Because of the recent wolf DNA?
Exactly. Because that recent introduction, you're dealing with an animal that possesses this hypervigilance.
Extreme sensory sharpness.
Right, and a level of cognitive autonomy that completely subverts our expectations of a pet. They're not waiting for your instructions.
No, they're actively analyzing the physics of the room.
Always.
I want to stop you right there, though, because I think a lot of us assume all dogs learn the exact same way.
Oh, absolutely. That's a common misconception.
Like, if you throw a ball for a normal dog, it chases it. If you hold up a treat and push their rear end down, they learn to sit.
Right.
So why does the wolf dog process that exact same interaction completely differently? I mean, are they just stubborn?
Well, calling them stubborn is really just a human projection.
Okay, so what is it then?
It comes down to a fundamental biological difference in how they map their reality. A standard dog, like, say, a Labrador, learns associatively.
Like the classic operant conditioning loop.
Exactly. You say sit, the dog puts its bottom on the floor, and you give it a piece of hot dog.
And the dog's brain creates a direct neural pathway.
Right, associating the sound of your voice with the physical action, and then the resulting dopamine hit from the food. They rely entirely on human signals.
Like looking where we point?
Yes.
They're basically programmed to use us as their search engine. Like if they don't know the answer, they just query the human.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
The Czechoslovakian Wolfdog, conversely, exhibits what we call causal reasoning.
Causal reasoning. Okay, break that down for us.
It means they understand cause and effect independent of human intervention. They look at a puzzle or an obstacle or a piece of architecture and they ask, what is the mechanical cause that creates the effect of this door opening?
So they don't need you to point at the door.
They do not.
There is a study in our sources from the Wolf Science Center in Vienna that illustrates this so perfectly, it honestly gave me chills when I read it.
Oh, the two-action task
Yeah.
is a phenomenal piece of methodology.
Yeah, it's testing the limits of observational learning, right?
Exactly. Testing how well they learn just by watching.
So the researchers took these 6-month-old wolf dogs,
Which means these are essentially just puppies.
great little puppies, and they brought them into a room with this complex wooden puzzle box.
And inside the box was a piece of food.
Yeah, but to get the food, you had to press a very specific lever to release a flap. So the researchers had a demonstrator, I think sometimes it was a human, sometimes a trained adult dog,
That's right.
show the puppies how to open the box just a single time.
And the crucial variable here was the method of demonstration.
Yes, this is the crazy part. Sometimes the demonstrator would press the lever using their mouth. Other times they would press it using a paw or a hand.
And the wolf dogs watched this happen once.
Just one time. And when it was their turn, they didn't just smash the box to get the food.
No, they successfully imitated the exact procedure.
Right. If the demonstrator used a paw, the puppy used a paw. If the demonstrator used a mouth, the puppy used its mouth.
I really want to break down why that is so neurologically profound.
Please do.
To replicate that action, the wolfdog puppy has to visually process the demonstrator's body,
Okay.
then mentally map the demonstrator's anatomy onto its own body.
Wow.
Recognize the lever as the causal mechanism, and then execute the precise motor function to replicate the physical force, all from a single observation.
That is insane. But here's the kicker. When they ran the exact same test with standard domesticated dogs of the exact same age,
They failed.
completely failed. The standard dogs watched the demonstration, walked up to the puzzle box, pawed at it randomly for like a few seconds.
And then stopped, turned around, and stared at the human researchers.
They just defaulted to their evolutionary programming, like, hey, human, fix it for me.
Exactly.
It reminds me of the difference between like a regular computer user and a programmer.
How so?
Well, a normal dog is like someone using a really well-designed smartphone app. You know, you click the bright blue button and it does the specific thing it was programmed to do. It's user-friendly.
Right.
But the wolf dog is like a hacker reading the raw source code of the entire operating system. It bypasses the user interface entirely to just see how the underlying system actually functions.
I like that. I will actually take that analogy a step further.
Yeah.
They are reading the source code, yes, but they are doing it while simultaneously monitoring the entire network for security threats.
Okay, wait, I have to push back on that a little bit.
Go ahead.
If their brain is running on that high of a processing speed, right, like if they are constantly analyzing every single lever and hinge and shadow in the room, doesn't that make them terrible learners?
It definitely changes how they learn.
I mean, how can you train an animal if its brain is that chaotic? That sounds less like a supercomputer and more like severe ADHD.
You are touching on the primary reason traditional dog trainers just throw their hands up in absolute frustration with this breed.
They just quit.
Often, yes. It has to do with how their brains prioritize sensory data. See, standard dogs have a very high focus on their handler and a very low focus on the environment.
Okay.
If you're holding a piece of chicken, a German Shepherd will lock eyes with you and completely ignore a squirrel running right past the window.
The chicken literally becomes their entire universe.
Because we bred them to ignore the environment. But the wolf dog retains the sensory processing of a wild predator.
Which means?
Their attention span on the handler might seem incredibly short, but that's because their situational awareness is turned up to a level we honestly cannot even fathom. They are constantly monitoring for risks.
The sources went into some crazy detail on their senses. Like they can recognize objects from 300 meters away.
Easily.
And their twilight vision allows them to see high-definition movement in shadows, where we just see pitch black darkness.
And their olfactory bulb, their sense of smell, is processing a literal chemical history of the environment in real time.
Right, so imagine you're out in a field trying to teach a wolf dog to sit. To you, it's just a quiet, empty field.
But to the wolf dog, It is a chaotic sensory landscape.
Yeah.
They're smelling the adrenaline of a rabbit that crossed the grass an hour ago.
Oh, wow.
They're visually tracking the flight path of a bird 3 football fields away.
Oh.
They're listening to the hum of a distant highway.
So it's exactly like a student trying to study for a math test while sitting in the middle of a screaming, crowded, chaotic school cafeteria where kids are throwing food.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. When they look away from you, they aren't being stupid. They are experiencing massive sensory overload.
Because their brain prioritizes survival data over your little piece of chicken.
Exactly. In the wild, failing to notice a shifting shadow or a subtle scent change gets you killed.
Right, which means calling them distracted is totally unfair. We are just completely blind to the information they are reading.
We truly are.
Let's move this out of the laboratory and the training field, though, and bring it directly into the living room.
Okay, let's go there.
Because if this animal can hack a puzzle box after seeing it once, and if it processes reality with this hyper-vigilant hacker brain, what happens when you put them in a modern human household?
Well, this is where their cognitive autonomy transitions from a fascinating scientific phenomenon into a severe everyday challenge for the owner.
The breeder blogs we reviewed were so funny, but also terrifying. They were full of stories that sounded more like police reports for a burglary than pet journals.
They really do read like incident reports.
We mentioned the doors earlier. You know, a normal dog scratches at a door hoping the magical door fairy arrives to let them out.
But the Wolfdog actively studies the biomechanics of the door. They identify the handle as the causal mechanism.
I really want you to clarify the mechanics of how they actually do this, because they don't have hands.
Right. They lack hands, which means they cannot simply grasp and turn a knob.
So what do they do?
They have to translate what they see a human hand do into a motion their own anatomy can achieve.
Okay.
So they recognize that downward force on a lever retracts the bolt. So they rear up, hook their front paws over the lever, and use their body weight to apply the necessary downward pressure.
It's an actual engineering calculation.
It really is.
And the refrigerators. This absolutely blew my mind. Fridges aren't just simple latches.
No, they are complex systems.
You have a heavy door, you have a magnetic strip, and crucially, you have thermodynamics working against you. Like, when you open a fridge, warm air rushes in. When you close it, that air cools, the pressure drops, and it creates a literal vacuum seal.
Right, Boyle's law in action right in your kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And breaking that seal requires a very specific asymmetrical application of force.
You can't just pull straight back.
No, you have to wedge it and pry.
And the wolf dog watches the owner break that seal. They realize they don't have human fingers to wedge into the gasket, so what do? They use their claws.
Yep.
They hook their claws into the rubber lining, brace their back legs against the floor for leverage, and literally pry the vacuum seal apart.
Which demonstrates an incredible concept in behavioral psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Operant learning combined with a massive degree of generalization.
Okay, generalization, define that for us.
So operant learning means they try something, it results in a favorable outcome, so they repeat it.
Right.
But generalization is the marker of much higher intelligence.
Meaning they don't have to start from scratch every time they encounter a new obstacle?
Precisely. Once a wolfdog figures out the underlying mechanical principle of a latch, that manipulating a small piece of metal releases a larger barrier, it applies that identical logic to every similar object in the house.
They abstract it.
Yes, they deduce the abstract concept of the latch. So if they figure out the fridge, they automatically understand the pantry.
They understand the cupboards.
They understand the trash can lid.
So they basically just download the master key to your entire house.
Pretty much.
But I have to ask, are they doing this to be rebellious? Like, when a normal dog breaks into the pantry and eats a bag of flour, the owner yells at it and the dog looks guilty. It knows it broke a rule.
Right, the classic guilty dog look.
Exactly. Is the wolf dog trying to be a bad boy?
See, you're projecting human social constructs onto a thermodynamic equation.
Okay, fair enough.
To the wolfdog, there is absolutely no concept of naughty or rebellious. Morality requires an understanding of human social contracts, which they frankly do not care about.
So what are they thinking?
To the wolfdog, there is only a goal, the block of cheese, and an obstacle, the plastic door.
Cheese equals goal. Door equals obstacle. Obstacle must be removed.
It is entirely practical. Their intelligence is geared purely toward the active manipulation of their environment.
Wow.
And actually, it's incredibly useful to contrast this with another wolfdog hybrid we saw in the sources.
Oh, Oh, the Sarlus wolf dog. I'm so glad you brought the Sarlus up.
It's a vital comparison.
Because I think a lot of our listeners might assume that, if you mix a wolf and a German Shepherd, you just get the exact same result every time. Like, a wolf dog is a wolf dog.
But genetics do not work like a simple math equation. It depends entirely on the selective breeding goals of the creator.
Right.
The Sarlus was created in the Netherlands by a man who wanted a companion animal that represented a return to nature. He wasn't building a military working dog.
He wanted the aesthetic of the wolf, but as a peaceful pet.
Exactly. He wanted a wolf you could essentially take to a coffee shop. And as a result, the Sarlus inherited the wolf's extreme shyness and its instinct for flight.
Ah.
They are incredibly intelligent, yes, but their intelligence is directed entirely toward conflict avoidance.
Okay, so if they see a vacuum cleaner.
Right. If a Sarlus encounters a strange puzzle box or a loud vacuum cleaner, their brain defaults to avoidance. They freeze or they retreat.
They are the ultimate pacifists. But the Czechoslovakian Wolfdog
Was bred by the military for the border patrol. They selectively bred for courage, assertiveness, and tenacity.
They needed an animal that would not run away from a conflict.
Exactly. So when the Czechoslovakian Wolfdog encounters a strange obstacle, their brain does not say flee. It says investigate, manipulate, conquer.
Which is why the Sarlus might look at the locked refrigerator, get overwhelmed, and go sleep under the dining table.
Right.
While the Czechoslovakian Wolfdog pulls out its mental calculator and starts measuring the leverage needed to break the vacuum seal.
It perfectly illustrates how two breeds with nearly identical genetic ingredients can possess completely different cognitive profiles.
It's fascinating, but it also brings us to a massive, highly practical problem.
The security issue.
Yes. Because if you have an animal that possesses the stamina to run 100 kilometers without stopping,
Which they can.
and this animal also actively analyzes physics, generalizes the concept of locks, and refuses to back down from an obstacle, how do you actually keep them inside a house?
It's a real undertaking.
I mean, the sources make it sound like you have to live in a maximum security prison.
The term used in several breeder guides is literally Fort Knox.
Jeez.
The architectural and behavioral modifications owners are forced to make go far, far beyond just buying a sturdy leash. We are talking about fundamentally redesigning the living space to account for an intelligent adversary.
Yeah, I was reading the forums, and owners were talking about having to change out all their doorknobs.
It's mandatory for a lot of them.
You cannot have the standard lever handles that push down. You have to replace them with perfectly round, smooth knobs.
Because a wolf dog cannot generate the friction required to turn a sphere with its paws.
But wait, what if the owner rents their home and can't just go changing the hardware?
Then they are forced to unscrew the lever handles and reinstall them vertically, pointing straight up toward the ceiling.
That's hilarious. So pushing down on them does nothing.
Exactly. The dog has to somehow learn to pull the lever completely sideways, which is biomechanically much, much more difficult for them.
And the fridge. The child locks aren't enough, clearly.
No, child locks are a minor inconvenience. The sources say you have to buy heavy-duty cargo straps with actual interlocking plastic buckles.
Like, wrap them entirely around the refrigerator.
Wrap them all the way around and clip them shut. And even then, because the dog understands the abstract concept of a mechanism, it might eventually figure out how to depress the prongs on the buckle with its teeth.
That's exhausting. And securing the inside of the house is apparently the easy part.
Oh, absolutely. The real danger lies in outdoor containment.
Right, the garden fences. You put a normal dog in a fenced yard, and it sniffs the grass and, I don't know, maybe barks at the mail carrier.
But when you place a Czechoslovakian Wolfdog in a fenced enclosure, they immediately conduct a perimeter security audit.
A security audit.
They patrol the fence line analytically. They test the tension of the chain link. They probe the soil at the base to see if the ground is soft enough for rapid excavation.
Unbelievable.
They look for structural elements, like a low tree branch, a crossbar on a gate, or even just a slightly elevated mound of dirt that they can use as a geometric stepping stone to launch themselves over the top.
It's literally like the velociraptors in Jurassic Park systematically testing the electric fences for weaknesses.
That's exactly what it's like. And I want to focus on the psychology of what happens if they actually find a weakness.
Okay, let's say they do. Let's say the dog realizes the soil is loose in one corner, digs a trench, and squeezes under the fence.
In operant conditioning, getting out of the yard is the ultimate positive reinforcement. They have achieved the goal. Freedom, new sense, new stimuli.
They hit the jackpot.
Yes. And here is the terrifying part for the owner. Because their causal reasoning is so strong, unlearning that successful escape behavior is practically impossible.
Really?
Once they know the concept of going under the fence is viable, they will relentlessly attempt it again. You cannot just fill the hole with dirt.
Because they know the dirt can be moved.
Right. You literally have to pour concrete footings along the entire perimeter because the dog now knows that digging is a mathematically proven solution to the obstacle.
But why do they want to escape so badly? I mean, are they just trying to run away because they hate being domestic?
Usually no. The escape attempts and the massive property destruction associated with them are deeply tied to their emotional psychology.
Emotional psychology.
Specifically, their intense pack bond and how they experience boredom and separation anxiety.
Okay, let's look at boredom first. A bored golden retriever chews on your sneaker.
Right. But a bored wolf dog engages in what the literature refers to as destructive creativity.
Destructive creativity. I love that term.
They view their environment as raw material for projects. But this is compounded exponentially if they're left alone without being properly conditioned to handle solitude.
Because of the wolf side.
Yes. Because of their wolf heritage, they have an incredibly strong primal attachment to their human family. They view you as their pack.
So we really have to completely reframe how we think about separation anxiety. Like, for a normal dog, an empty living room is lonely, but it's still their house.
For an untrained wolf dog, an empty house is a cage that is keeping them separated from their pack.
Oh, wow.
In the wild, isolation means death. So their panic is an actual existential survival response. And what does a highly intelligent, physically powerful hacker do when trapped in a cage?
They dismantle the cage.
Exactly.
The source's detailed destruction that I honestly thought was exaggerated until I saw the veterinary photos.
It's hard to believe until you see it.
A panicked wolf dog won't just scratch at the paint on a door. They will recognize that the solid oak door is too strong, so they will turn to the drywall right next to it.
Yes, they target the structural weak points.
They will systematically chew through the plaster, find the wooden studs, chew through the wood, and literally eat a hole straight through the wall to get to the hallway.
Because in their logical assessment, the drywall is easier to bypass than the solid wood.
Or they will realize the linoleum flooring is glued down, find a loose corner, bite it, and use their neck muscles to rip up whole sheets of flooring right down to the subfloor.
It is a terrifying manifestation of anxiety.
But you have to admit, it is undeniably brilliant. They are applying high-level structural analysis to their emotional panic.
Which brings us to the greatest paradox of Czechoslovakian Wolfdog, and frankly, the core reason we are doing this deep dive today.
Right, let me set this up for everyone. We have an animal that understands thermodynamics and leverage well enough to open a sealed refrigerator.
True.
We have an animal that abstracts the concept of lashes and applies it to every door in the house.
Yes.
We have an animal that probes architectural weaknesses in fencing and can literally dismantle a wall to bypass a locked door.
They are problem solvers.
So this is objectively a genius-level intellect in the canine world.
No question.
So teaching this dog a basic command like sit, stay, or fetch should be an absolute breeze, right?
You would naturally assume they would master obedience drills in minutes.
Exactly. But every single source, from the military manuals to the civilian trainer blogs, repeatedly states that they are notoriously, agonizingly difficult to train.
It's a huge point of friction.
World-class dog trainers who have spent their entire lives working with Malinois and German Shepherds often just quit in complete frustration when handed a wolf dog. Why? How can an animal this smart be this untrainable?
Because you are confusing intelligence with compliance.
Okay, say more about that.
The key to understanding this behavioral block lies in a Czech concept called účelové chování, which translates roughly to purposeful behavior.
Purposeful behavior.
Their wolf ancestors were hardwired for supreme energy conservation. In the wild, every single calorie matters.
You can't just waste energy.
Right. You do not sprint unless you are actively taking down prey or running for your life.
Right.
You do not expend energy on actions that do not yield a direct, tangible benefit for your survival or your immediate biological needs.
So they are incredibly efficient.
They are ruthlessly pragmatic. Now compare that to a modern working dog.
Okay.
A German Shepherd has been selectively bred over countless generations to find internal joy simply in performing a task for its handler.
Like they want to work.
Yes. A Shepherd will joyfully chase a tennis ball 50 times in a row, panting, exhausting itself. simply because the act of pleasing the human provides a massive dopamine reward. The obedience is its own reward.
But if you throw a tennis ball for a Czechoslovakian
Well,
Wolfdog,
they will watch you throw it. They might jog over, pick it up, and bring it back once, maybe just to see if there is food involved.
right, testing the water.
They might even bring it back a second time if they find the texture of the ball amusing.
Yeah.
But when you throw for the third time,
What do they do?
the wolf dog will watch it land in the grass, turn his head, and look directly at you. Their brain computes the energy expenditure versus the reward and basically concludes, you threw it away. You clearly do not want it.
I brought it to you twice, and you discarded it again.
Exactly. This is an illogical, pointless loop, and I'm not burning my caloric reserves to humor you.
And they just stop.
They experience a complete cognitive block. Owners refer to this as switching to wolf mode.
Wolf mode.
Their eyes glaze over, they stare at the horizon, and they become entirely deaf to your commands.
So they aren't ignoring the command because they are too stupid to understand the word fetch.
No, not at all.
They're ignoring you because they have critically evaluated your command and judged it to be stupid.
Precisely. They outright reject the pedagogical method.
It's exactly like the dynamic in a classroom. Imagine you have two students. The student in the front row is your golden retriever.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
They take copious notes, they memorize the textbook, and they thrive on the established system. They want the teacher's approval and the little gold star on their test.
And then you have the other student,
The gifted student in the back row.
the analytical observer.
Yes. The teacher hands out a worksheet with 50 basic addition equations. The gifted student in the back row does the first two equations, proves to themselves that they understand the formula, and then straight up refuses to do the other 48.
They already proved they know it.
Right. They just stare out the window or start taking their pen apart. And when the teacher scolds them, the student argues, why do I have to write this down 50 times when my calculator can do it in a second?
It's completely rational to them.
They aren't acting out because they are bad at math. They are acting out because classical rote memorization feels like an insult to their intellect.
That is a flawless analogy for how the wolf dog views repetitive obedience drills. You ask them to sit, lay down, and stand up in a circle on a training field for 20 minutes, and their brain simply shuts off.
It lacks purpose.
It does.
So what happens if a traditional trainer gets angry? Like, what happens if you put a choke collar on them or physically force their hips down to make them sit?
It backfires catastrophically.
Really?
If you attempt to force a wolf dog through physical dominance or harsh corrections, you permanently destroy the only currency that matters to them, trust.
Because in their minds, a leader who uses violence to enforce a pointless rule is an incompetent leader.
Exactly. In a pack structure, authority is not derived from who can bite the hardest. True authority is derived from competence, calmness, and fairness.
That makes total sense.
A chaotic, angry pack leader in the wild gets pack killed. So if the human loses their temper, acts unpredictably, or tries to bully the dog into a meaningless drill, the wolf dog evaluates that human and decides they are unfit to lead.
They demote you.
They absolutely do. And they will attempt to take over the managerial decision-making for the household.
Which looks like what, exactly?
Usually it manifests as them completely ignoring your existence and deciding for themselves when they walk, what they eat, and who is allowed in the house.
Wow. So how do you actually train an animal that refuses to be drilled and will demote you if you yell at it? The sources mention very specific modern methodologies.
Yes. You have to become an environmental architect. You cannot be a dictator. Trainers who succeed with wolf dogs use principles from applied behavior analysis.
Specifically systems like NEPOPO.
Right. So one of the main ones, yes.
Explain the mechanism of NEPOPO, because the acronym sounds a bit bizarre, negative, positive, positive. How does that actually work in practice?
It revolves around creating a scenario where the dog chooses to perform the action you want, because it is the most logical way to solve a puzzle.
Okay.
Let's say you want to train a sit. You do not push their rear end down. First, you apply a mild, annoying negative pressure.
Like what?
This could be a slight, continuous spatial pressure where you step into their space, or just a very light, steady tension on the leash. It is not painful. It is just a frustrating obstacle.
Okay, so the dog feels the pressure and wants to turn it off.
Yes. The dog's hacker brain engages. They start trying different behaviors to solve the puzzle of the pressure. And the microsecond the dog's rear end touches the ground, you instantly release the pressure.
Oh, I see.
That is the first positive relief. The dog thinks, sitting is the mechanical switch that turns off the annoyance.
They solve the puzzle.
And then immediately following that relief, you deliver the second positive.
A massive high-value reward, like a piece of raw meat.
That's brilliant.
The dog's brain wires this entirely differently than associative learning. They didn't just blindly obey a sound, they actively manipulated their environment.
Right.
They learned that they control the pressure and they control the reward by utilizing the sit behavior.
You essentially trick them into thinking obedience was their own idea. Like, you build a psychological escape room, and the code to unlock the door is doing the trick you wanted them to do anyway. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it requires immense psychological flexibility from the owner. You have to constantly ask yourself what the dog's internal motivation is and build the environment to channel that motivation.
And it requires you to be incredibly fair. The breeder blogs practically beg new owners to understand this.
They stress it constantly.
Like, if you are inconsistent, if you let them on the couch on Monday but yell at them for being on the couch on Tuesday, they will exploit that inconsistency.
Oh, they will map your behavioral patterns as thoroughly as they map the vacuum seal on the fridge.
Which is why we need to discuss how you actually burn off the energy of a hyper-observant analyzing machine.
Because a tired dog is a good dog, but tiring a wolf dog is difficult.
Right, because we established that physical exercise is essentially a myth with them. You can hook a Czechoslovakian Wolfdog up to a specialized dog biking harness, ride a mountain bike at top speed for 15 kilometers.
And the dog will trot back into the house, drink a bowl of water, and immediately start figuring out how to unhinge the front door.
It's insane. You cannot outmuscle or outrun their biology. They are built for endurance.
So what they desperately require is mental exhaustion. We call it brain work.
And the sources highlight scent tracking as the ultimate brain work, but I really want to understand why sniffing the ground makes them so tired.
Because it is a massive cognitive computational load.
Explain that.
When a wolf dog is tracking a scent trail through a forest, let's say a trail laid down by a human 3 hours prior, they are not just taking deep breaths. Their olfactory bulb, which is proportionately massive, is processing millions of distinct chemical markers simultaneously.
Millions.
Yes. They're differentiating the crushed cellular structure of the grass where the human stepped, the airborne skin cells the human dropped, the sweat evaporating off the soil.
Wow.
And they're doing all of this while actively filtering out the smell of deer, pine needles, and car exhaust from a nearby road.
They're essentially doing advanced calculus with their nose.
Exactly. The intense concentration required to process that data, solve the navigational puzzle, and follow the invisible line through a chaotic environment drains their cognitive reserves entirely.
That makes total sense.
An hour of complex scent tracking will put a wolf dog to sleep on the rug far faster than a 3-hour run.
Or solving interactive puzzle toys, right?
Yeah.
Although the owners on the forums complain that they have to constantly buy new, harder puzzles because the dog solves them too quickly.
That's a common complaint.
Like, you buy a sliding block puzzle that is supposed to keep a normal dog busy for an hour. The wolf dog looks at it, realizes the wooden block physically prevents the treat from falling.
And instead of sliding it,
It just uses its paw to violently slide the block out of the track entirely, eats the treat in 40 seconds, and then looks at you waiting for the next challenge.
it is relentless. Living with them requires an owner who is willing to be engaged in a constant, daily battle of wits.
Let me stop and kind of synthesize what this means for our listeners, because I think we are painting a picture that might be daunting, but it is also incredibly illuminating regarding how intelligence actually works.
I agree.
If you are a young person listening to this, if you're a student and you want to understand animal cognition, the Czechoslovakian Wolfdog basically forces you to throw away the textbook.
It completely shatters the binary concept of good dog versus bad dog.
Exactly. We have a creature that processes the world as a stream of critical, high-definition data. It does not wait for a human to explain how a door works. It calculates the biomechanics and opens the door itself.
Right.
It views human obedience drills not as a fun game, but as an insulting waste of caloric energy. And it demands that any human attempting to lead it must prove their competence through fairness, consistency, and puzzle solving, rather than brute force and shouting.
They hold up a mirror to the human ego.
They really do.
For centuries, humans have operated under the assumption that animals exist to serve our needs, and that their intelligence is measured solely by how quickly they submit to our commands.
And the wolfdog looks at that assumption and just refuses to participate.
They force us to realize that true communication with a highly intelligent species is a negotiation. It requires profound empathy.
Yeah.
You have to step outside of your human perspective, look at the thermodynamic puzzle of the refrigerator, look at the sensory chaos of the training field, and actually understand the logic behind the animal's behavior.
You have to earn the partnership. You cannot buy it, and you certainly cannot beat it into them.
No, you cannot.
If you want a robot, get a programmable toy. If you want a golden retriever, get a golden retriever. But if you want to live with the Czechoslovakian Wolfdog, you are agreeing to live with a wild intelligence that will test you, manipulate you, and force you to be the best, smartest version of yourself every single day.
It is an arduous lifestyle, but for those who successfully navigate that cognitive landscape, the bond that forms is unparalleled.
I can imagine.
It is not the bond of a master and a servant. It is the bond of two capable predators analyzing the world together.
Which leaves us with a fascinating, provocative thought to take back to the classroom or the skate park today.
What's that?
The next time you see a dog perfectly executing a trick rolling over, shaking a paw, or staying frozen in place, ask yourself what kind of intelligence you are actually witnessing.
That's a great question.
Are you looking at a mind that is thinking critically about its environment? Or are you simply looking at an animal whose wild instincts have been dulled down so much that compliance is the only tool it has left?
Right. Are we praising our pets for being smart, or
Or are we just praising them for being convenient?
a profound question regarding the nature of domestication?
Keep observing the world around you. Don't settle for the front row answers when the back row questions are so much more interesting. Thank you for joining us as we explored the incredible hacking mind of the Czechoslovakian Wolfdog. We will catch you on the next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone. Never stop analyzing.